I just went on a trip to Calgary to play a gig. I'm driving through high mountain roads right now back to Vancouver. There's this city on the highway or by the highway called Golden. So there's a few major stops between like Calgary and Vancouver. There's a few different ways you can get to Vancouver ultimately, but the main highway being Highway 1, you would typically go through Golden and then Revelstoke. Well, here's the thing, right? The last two times that I went through Calgary or went to Calgary or to Vancouver through Golden, basically that would have been October and then February. Both of those times, Highway 1 was closed. And, at least I knew once I got into the city that Highway 1 was closed, I wouldn't be able to take it to continue the journey, and that I would have to take a detour. Well, the only major detour is through Radium Hot Springs. Get yourself out a map if you need to so you can better understand kind of the predicament. But you're sort of forced through that detour, like that's about the only thing available. So here I am traveling back to Calgary in September, and of course the way back as well. And right now I'm on my way back. And on the way in, Highway 1 was open. But whatever construction and upgrades and widening that they are doing around Golden is not complete. On the way into Calgary, there was still construction going on, and you had to drive slow and change lanes and, all the usual stuff that comes with construction. This is the time of year for construction. I'm pretty sure anywhere, but definitely in Canada, it's like September is hurry, get it all done before the good weather leaves us, right? Depending on where you live anyway, like snow could occur definitely as early as September, if not earlier. But anyway, like I got through Golden, right, and that saves me time, certainly, even if I have to drive a little bit slower and deal with construction and having to stop here and there and lane changes and all that kind of stuff. Going through Golden is ultimately going to be faster than having to take the detour. But on the way back to Vancouver, I realized a little bit too late. I think I went about 50 kilometers or so out of the way to field, only to discover that Highway 1 is indeed closed at Golden again. And so I was thinking to myself, like, I know that highway construction requires a lot of work and resources and time. Obviously, it takes something to maintain it as well. But why would they not build an alternative highway next to the main one, especially in that area, if Golden is just going to continue to prove a challenge and they're going to have to widen it and they're going to have to fix it because I'm pretty sure it isn't an avalanche area and so harsh weather too. So there's like multiple factors affecting the highway all the time that would require a lot of maintenance on their part. People are constantly going through there. It's almost inevitable that you would go through Golden on your way to some other city, especially if you're going to Calgary and Vancouver. Why wouldn't they build another highway, even if it was, for lack of a better term, a crappy one, that was a one-lane highway on either side, and the maximum speed limit was like 80 or 90. It would still be better than having to do this gigantic detour south through Radium Hot Springs and then back up north to get to Golden. And so the analogy carries into our music careers in this way. And first I'll just start with a crude example, and then I think I'll finish off by explaining it a little bit better. But first, think of like a touring band, and you might be one. And there's this tour stop that you always have to go through on the way to another city. It's not your favorite tour stop. A couple times you played through there and it went very well, but pretty much every other time that you've played there, the crowd is unruly and they throw beer bottles at you and they curse you out and they get into fights and it's just not that fun of a gig. The pay is pretty good, but because of the extra annoyance of having to deal with an unruly crowd, you're like, I don't know, it seems like 6 out of 10, they're getting way out of control and things are just too crazy for us to deal with. And so in that instance, like, why wouldn't you begin to look for a backup venue? Somewhere else you could play, maybe does not pay as much, but also a situation where you don't have to deal with a crowd that's a little bit insane. There's different paths in music careers just as there are different paths in life. And we can keep fixing or reconstructing the bridges that we've created or the highways that we've erected on the path to getting to where we are. Or we could go like, we've had to repair this specific bridge so many times that maybe it's worth seeking out all the other alternatives. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is having redundancy. Some people call this the Noah Ark principle. I think Ezra Firestone. You have two of everything, so backup. And that's something I'm pretty sure he learned from James Schramko, who calls it single source dependency. You don't want to be dependent on any one thing, period. You don't want to have just one person that can play guitar. You don't want to have just one laptop that could crap out on the road. You don't want to have just one van if you intend to tour through the States or through the entirety of North America multiple times. You want to have backups for everything. And I think the key here, or another key here, is just that so often we try to do the same thing the same way, expecting different results, right? We all know that as the insanity cycle. So I'm not introducing anything like revolutionary in that regard, but oftentimes there's just a different way of doing things. Maybe by rerouting one stop on your tour, you could maximize your profits. Maybe you just haven't been looking at the map or exploring alternatives or thinking about it that way until now. Like, maybe there's a better stop on a tour. So there's different ways of solving the same problem. The question is, are you looking? When I look at the highway and what's happening around Golden, if they have to constantly do work on it, maintain it, widen it, and keep it in good condition and maintain it all the time, why wouldn't they begin to explore alternatives? There's a lot of people that have to drive through there on the way to somewhere else in BC or going the other way into Alberta, rather than having to take 1.5 detours south. And again, it's not hell or anything. Radium Hot Springs is awesome, and if you've got the extra time to take a soak in the hot pool, I mean, it feels great. It's well worth it. And at the same time, like, sometimes you're on a tighter schedule where that just wouldn't be possible, right? So begin thinking creatively. Look for the creative solutions and the alternatives and the other ways of doing things that might improve and optimize what you've already got. There's almost always room to optimize what you're doing right now. You might think you have it pretty dialed in. You might think it's pretty awesome. And that may well be true, but that doesn't mean that there aren't things that could be optimized. Especially if you seem to encounter the same issue every single time in the same city, or the same issue every single time with one manager, or the same issue every single time with a specific computer. There's almost certainly a way to optimize whatever it is that's not working as well as it could be right now.
Unlock the secrets to skyrocketing your productivity, boosting performance, and maximizing profits with my latest premium guide, the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Blackbook. Tailored for independent artists and entrepreneurs, this comprehensive resource is your roadmap to turning ideas into reality. Say goodbye to abandoned projects collecting dust on your shelves or buried in your hard drives. It's time to bring your vision to life. Grab your free copy of the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Blackbook now at davidandrewweeb.com/blackbook. That's WIEBE. Don't miss out on the key to unlocking your success.